It was so contagious. My entire immediate family went to go and see Iron Maiden, despite the fact I wasn't even there, because they were living in a different country. But Iron Maiden were in town, and so my mum, dad, sister went to see Iron Maiden, purely based on the fact that boy goes on about Iron Maiden so much. Hello and welcome to Maiden Voyages, a podcast series that's usually devoted to chronicling and discussing the entire discography of the world's greatest heavy metal band, which is, of course, Iron Maiden. But not today.
Not today.
Not today. Just to reassure you, we are still talking about Iron Maiden.
Yeah, it is very much still Iron Maiden centric.
It's fine. It is wall-to-wall Iron Maiden, but...
I haven't started my Halloween podcast just yet.
No. Thank God.
One day.
But in honour of the fact that Maiden started a new tour, which is quite exciting, been a lot of
very
discussion
exciting
online about set lists, stage productions, everything else, we thought it would be fun for us to both individually put together, I use the word fun in the loosest possible sense of the word fun there.
It's doing a lot of heavy lifting.
We thought it would be fun to put together our dream Iron Maiden shows individually. So... should we introduce ourselves first and then let's do the format?
Why don't we do that, yeah.
Right, so I'm Bledd, an historian of sorts, an Iron Maiden nut, and you can tell I hadn't thought that one ahead, had you?
Yeah, I'm Sam, a writer of sorts and an Iron Maiden seed.
Seed, yes.
Trying to think of a more casual version of a nut.
I was about to say the seed. So what we are doing today is we have gone away and we thought about what our dream Iron Maiden shows would look like. Mm-hmm. So obviously the centerpiece of this is the set list, our dream Iron Maiden set lists.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. But also thinking about the kind of stage show we'd like, the support. I've even added some stuff in I've not told you about yet.
Oh dear.
The dream venue you'd see Iron Maiden in. And also maybe...
My house.
my living room. Just everyone... Steve Harris sat on your sofa just playing the bass away.
They'd have to be quite quiet, otherwise the council would be at my front door.
Yeah, it would be a very quiet Iron Maiden gig.
Yeah.
Because you are a very well-respected member of the community, Sam.
Well, that's what I've always...
And Iron Maiden will not tarnish your reputation and good standing.
I wouldn't let them.
With the folk of North Cardiff. So, and the twist, it's not a twist because I'm telling you now. What we thought we'd do is... at the end of this, we'll put our set list up on Twitter, @MaidenPod.
Yep.
Please follow us. And we're going to let you, the good listeners of Maiden Voyages, all 6 of you, are going to decide which Maiden show you would prefer. So there's a lot resting on this. This is high-stakes podcasting, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of us needs the ego hit that will come with winning this Twitter poll.
As the self-appointed Iron Maiden nut... amongst the two of us, I feel the pressure on me. I'm not going to lie. I feel
the pressure's more on you than it is on me.
You know, if
I think everyone's just hoping that I don't know, do an entire set list of rubbish, B-sides. Just reach out 15 times.
Damn, I forgot reach out. Oh, I could have gone really niche. Anyway, but yeah, if the entire Maiden fan base turn against me, like what does that leave my standing as an Iron Maiden superfan if they go with yours?
I guess it just means that I have a better grasp on what the people want.
And that is quite a strong possibility, actually, come to think of it.
I don't know, you've not heard my set list yet.
Well, before we get to set lists and our dream Maiden gigs, I thought, because we've never done this, again, throwing this at you, this might be a nice little time just to talk about our history of seeing Iron Maiden live. Without necessarily listing every gig, Sam.
Every Iron Maiden gig that I've ever been to.
Minute by minute, blow by blow, what happened. When was your first time seeing Iron Maiden? Your favourite Maiden gigs?
So, first time seeing Iron Maiden was, unsurprisingly, with you.
Yeah.
In, I guess it was 2005. It was...
6.
Okay, it was 2006. It was the Matter of Life and Death tour.
It was,
I just remember the album was out in 2005. It was at Cardiff International Arena. Very fine establishment that still exists to this day. And they played the entirety of The Matter of Life and Death, which to be fair, like all the
Great
PR and messaging had been very clear about that from the outset. So I knew what I was getting into. But as the first Maiden gig, as enjoyable as it was very weird to have the entirety of that album. And then, what was it, like 5 other songs, which didn't include Run to the Hills? Or was Number of the Beast even part of that set? I don't think it was. Or maybe The Trooper was missing. Like some of the songs that you would really expect.
The Trooper wasn't played that night, no.
Yeah.
I remember we got The Evil That Men Do for the encore, Fear of the Dark, Hallowed Be Thy Name, Iron Maiden. The 5th one might have been Number of the
Maybe.
Beast.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was, by virtue of the fact that they were playing A Matter of Life and Death in full, you didn't get a lot of stuff you might otherwise expect.
Yeah. I mean, that's a long album to begin with.
Yeah, but I bloody love A Matter of Life and Death.
I think it's a good album, but it was
say
a
that.
weird first Maiden show.
I love it so much. No songs from it will feature in my Dream I Made set. But maybe that's because I've already seen the whole thing live and I'm done. So
Why
that's good.
repeat yourself?
Go on then. So that was your first time. Favourite Maiden gigs?
Favorite Maiden gigs? So I think there's 2 that are probably relatively joint Maiden gigs. One of them I went to with you, which was the Made in England like rehash tour.
Yeah, 2000. At the O2? Because we
At the O2 Arena
we saw it
in
at Sonosphere as well, didn't we?
Oh yeah, okay, but yeah, at the O2 Arena.
Yeah, that was the top
with
Maiden gig,
the
I think,
Seventh Son of the
2013.
Seventh Son,
Yeah.
Eddie in the background. That was just absolutely incredible. So that's one of the joint 2, and then the other one is Legacy of the Beast tour, also at the O2 Arena. You weren't there that time, but I had good company anyway.
Wow.
Actually, I had managed to bring my now wife and my brother and my sister-in-law along with me for a Maiden show, which was a weird experience,
That's
but
charming.
very, very nice.
And I
Yeah.
imagine-
what a lovely family moment for us all to share together.
thing
And my friend Will.
The thing about Maiden Live is there are so many like reference points that you get. You know, like when Doctor starts playing and everyone goes ballistic. If you don't know that, you're probably just looking at people around you. And what the hell? Why is everyone so excited that just another song has come on the PA?
But I mean, what was quite interesting about that show was my brother, who knew like a few Maiden songs, like the big songs, and then my sister-in-law, who knew none, and my partner, who doesn't, at the time, didn't know very much, but has since been indoctrinated. Like all of them kind of came out of the show like, oh, wow, that was something special. Because it's an entertaining show, even if you're not necessarily a fan of the band. Like, it was pretty incredible.
Likewise, my Maiden obsession was so great growing up.
It was very great.
Yeah,
growing up.
I mean,
Levin as a child was defined by his like of Iron Maiden.
pretty much, yeah. I mean, to the point where it was almost like quite a serious character defect, really.
We were all quietly worried about him.
But it was so contagious. My entire immediate family went to go and see Iron Maiden, despite the fact I wasn't even there. They were living in a different country, but Iron Maiden were in town, and so my mum, dad, sister went to see Iron Maiden purely based on the fact that boy goes on about Iron Maiden so much. We should probably go see Iron Maiden.
What did the Penny family make of
They
it?
loved it. They thought it was great. Like my mum in particular still talks about that show. She was like, that was like an amazing, one of the best concerts she's ever been to.
That's so nice.
And my dad, I think, a bit more like, it was.
If it's not Alice in Chains, your dad isn't interested.
It's not Alice in Chains or Frank Zappa, so
Yeah.
very much the spectrum of Penny Senior's
Yeah.
music likes. But yeah, so in terms of my first main gig, I beat you to it by a few years.
Yeah. I remember.
I went to see them on the Dance of Death tour, also in the Cardiff International Arena in 2003, which was, I mean, almost like it sounds really naff to say, but almost a turning point in my life, if I'm honest. It was...
Well, presumably it was one of your first gigs.
Yeah, up until that point, my gig-going history was Tom Jones, Deep Purple,
Yeah.
and Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And it just set me on a very different musical path, I think. And then I was lucky enough to see the Early Days tour. I got a date
Oh,
to
yeah.
Reading,
I was very jealous about that.
2005, and a very weird day that had like the fact that Maiden would headline Reading Festival, even back in the days when...
Even then it seemed weird.
Yeah, and Reading used to have a sort of semi-unofficial Metal Sunday in the early noughties, so you might get, Slayer would pop up. I mean, not headlining, but might be there on a Sunday. But
Yeah.
Maiden headlining Reading Leeds was bizarre. And
Yeah.
the sort of direct support was Marilyn Manson, which is
That is
It's troubling.
not a great support.
No. And then you had sort of Funeral for a Friend on the bill, and Iggy Pop was on the main stage. Yeah, well, that was good. It was cool. And Iggy and the Stooges as well, when the Stooges
cool.
were still
Yeah.
alive. Yeah. And
But that makes more sense as a Reading booking than Maiden does.
yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because that's the kind of heritage act, the Reading
Yeah.
band. But I remember our sort of, when I went up for the day, some of our wider circle of school friends were there.
Yeah.
And I was the only one who hung around for Maiden. They all went to go see Block Party in the tent, which I could not fathom. I was like, you're idiots. You're absolute idiots. You could see the best band in the world, and you've gone to see Block Party in a tent.
I mean, I know in the years since you've had multiple opportunities to see Maiden, whereas probably not multiple opportunities to see Block Party. But even then, why would you choose Block Party over Maiden?
It's the first 4 albums, Sam. Just the first
I know,
4
but
albums.
none of those guys cared.
No, none of them. And indeed, they still don't. And
It's a circle of friends who were very much convinced that every Maiden song was dun 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 dun,
Yeah.
which, to be fair, is accurate.
I remember the thing at the time that really annoyed me was the being the bonnet they had about Maiden was they wear their own t-shirts on
Yeah.
stage.
I mean, it is cheesy. They wear their own t-shirts on
Yeah,
stage,
but-
just in case you forget who they are.
But it's free, right? You've got
They're just helping themselves to that tour stock.
yeah. If I had a massive stock of t-shirts, I'd help myself to them.
Yeah, but I might not wear it when I'm playing as the band Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Wearing a t-shirt that says Iron Maiden, while the other 5 members of Iron Maiden all wear t-shirts saying Iron Maiden.
But I might be making this up, and I'm sure I remember reading somewhere.
And wearing wristbands that also say Iron Maiden.
But have their names on them. So Steve Harris has
yeah.
a wristband that says Steve Harris on it. It's almost like he's sort of
Who am I?
a patient, and in case he gets
Yeah.
lost, like, please remember this is my name. But no, yeah, that was phenomenal. So without going through every other Maiden gig I've been to,
Yeah.
the first one was amazing. Reading 05 purely for the set list was amazing.
Yeah.
Also because Bruce was very, I think he sensed that they were not a natural fit for that bill. So he was quite aggy.
Yeah.
And it was quite soon after the whole Sharon Osbourne egg.
I was about to ask, was it shortly after?
Yeah, it was shortly after that.
So he had some fire under the hood.
Yeah, just to remind people who might have forgotten that was an incident that happened when Maiden were direct support to Black Sabbath, weren't they?
Yeah.
On the on the US leg of the Ozfest tour. And Bruce being
Was
Bruce,
it even Black Sabbath or was it just Ozzy?
I have a feeling Black Sabbath did reform
Maybe it was
briefly around
Sabbath,
then.
yeah.
But regardless, Bruce had been a little bit mouthy on stage about reality TV, apparently.
Yeah.
Obviously at the peak of the Osbournes.
Yeah.
And so Sharon orchestrated an event whereby they basically sabotaged Maiden's set, didn't they? And threw eggs at them and cut out the PA.
Yeah. Like, I think they hired lots of people they just found in the surrounding neighborhood to throw
Oh, was that
eggs
what
at
it
them.
was?
Yeah.
Because I know a bunch of the crew of Black Label
And
Society.
like a
I
fair
think.
amount. Yeah. Well, obviously, because Black Label Society and Zach are just.
They know what side their bread's on.
Exactly.
They know
They're not going to rock any boats there.
they know who's writing the check, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I mean, 2 things there. What a ridiculously immature response to a frontman being like maybe slightly out of line, but like just have a quiet word.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just say
But I mean, especially when to be on the Ozfest bill, every band had to pay to get on it anyway. To like sabotage their set.
I do.
Feels a bit. I mean, I guess Maiden probably didn't pay to
Yeah,
get
I
on
don't
it,
believe Maiden are paying to. Yeah, get on a bill. But
Ozfest was a weird thing.
yeah, and
Completely forgot about it.
no longer a thing as far as we can tell. But yeah, so Bruce was in a very aggy mood at Reading, which I quite liked.
Yeah.
In the sense that I remember, there's a few clips of it, so some of the highlights are shown on ITV, and there's a bit of Bruce where they're going to run to the hills, and Bruce said something like, "Sing along if you know it, and if you don't, tough." And it's just sort of like, just like, suck it, you're having Maiden, right? We're here. Here's the Iron Maiden songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely a highlight. The gig you mentioned, the O2 gig for Maiden
Yeah.
England, definitely a highlight.
That was such a good gig.
Legacy of the Beast, I didn't see that with you in London, but I did go see it in Birmingham,
Yeah.
which was great. And
What was the venue in Brum?
it was the National Exhibition, the NEC, the National Exhibition Centre.
Yeah.
Yeah. very convenient off the M42 motorway. Unlike where we are going to see Iron Maiden this time in Birmingham, which is not convenient for anyone who doesn't live in Birmingham, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I don't know if we've mentioned it on the podcast before, but obviously we're going to the Somewhere in Time Future Past tour thingy-majig. But the way we're doing it is because they're not coming to Wales, we are driving to Birmingham straight after work from Cardiff and then driving back straight after the gig because we both have work in the morning.
Woo!
So it's going to be a pretty intense evening.
Going to be sober and tired.
Yeah. Story of my life.
The only other one I'd hype... Well, having said that, I've never had a bad time seeing Maiden. I've seen them pretty much on every UK tour they've done since 2003. The Somewhere Back in Time tour, which I went to at Twickenham Stadium, that felt... Just seeing Maiden in a stadium in the UK, I'm pretty sure it was sold out or felt sold out in the room. That felt like such a moment and an occasion. Yeah. And because they're playing at Twickenham, Bruce ran onto the stage at the start of Aces High and booted a rugby ball into the crowd, which was such a lovely touch.
It's just stupid.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty
But I
stupid.
respect it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, but having said that, I've never walked out of a Maiden show ever feeling like I'd had anything less than an amazing...
No, I mean, even when they've been playing set lists I'm less interested in, like when they did that tour that was sort of 21st century material, pretty much almost all. That was still a really entertaining show.
But you know, that was a really weird little tour because we saw it at Sonosphere, didn't we?
Yeah, and then I also saw it at the O2.
Did you really know?
Yeah.
It was almost like a little teaser for the Final Frontier because the Final Frontier, the first time we saw it, the Final Frontier wasn't out yet. They played a couple of songs off the Final Frontier, like, or maybe just one, maybe just El Dorado. I think
it would have been El Dorado, and I think there was something else because they definitely had like the backdrop of the album cover.
Well, that's it. But they had the stage set, but not the material. I'm pretty sure it might have been the one song. But yeah, just like, and they were really zooming in on 21st century stuff, and that was a like as a Maiden fan, I loved that. But I seem to remember headlining a festival, the crowd felt a bit flat. You know, because they weren't playing necessarily to die-hard Maiden fans. Was my...
I just did a live fact check. You're right. They only played El Dorado.
Yeah, I seem to remember that. And tons... Did they play Dance of Death as well that night? I seem to remember.
They did. Yeah.
Oh, what a time.
Which is a lovely choice. They also, however, played Wildest Dreams, which I forgot about.
Come on. Just to hear that live again. Like, you're never going to hear that again. Come on. And
probably for the best.
What else? Like Ghost of the Navigator they played. Brilliant. Yeah. They didn't play Rainmaker, did they?
No, which I would have loved.
Yeah.
Especially over Wildest Dreams.
Yeah, I'll go with you there. I would take... they played Different World?
No.
No, I seem
They did These Colours Don't Run and The Reincarnation of Benjamin Brieg.
Nice. We'll take that.
Which, apropos of nothing, I recently had a realization that the main riff of Reincarnation of Benjamin Brieg sounds a bit like Stranger in the Strange Land. It's that same kind of like marchy stomp thing.
I'm with you there. I get where you're coming from. So before we get to our Dream Maiden gigs, final thought.
Yeah.
So I had this thought and I got distracted about Maiden wearing Maiden t-shirts. I'm sure...
Oh, yeah, okay.
On stage. I'm sure I remember reading an interview with one of them somewhere where they said that it was about... it was like a kind of bond of solidarity with the fans. It's like we dress... We're kind of all in this together. You know what I mean? Like, we all... You know, we're all here wearing Maiden t-shirts. I appreciate it's a bit different when you are Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
But there is a kind of sweetness there to it somewhere, I think.
A misguided sweetness, though. I just don't. I don't think that really tracks. Like it's a metal gig. Everyone's just wearing metal band t-shirts, and that's the kind of united thing, right? Like it's like when you that really good recent Anthrax YouTube documentary series. Like Scott Ian's talking about how they made an effort to wear t-shirts of bands that they loved and wanted to kind of like use their platform to highlight, like, I don't know, Trust or whoever, and they were doing it because the bands they loved used to wear the t-shirts of bands they loved. And like there's something nice and supportive about the metal community about that, whereas just wearing your own t-shirt when you're playing a gig, it's just kind of like oh, I didn't have anything clean, so I just took this out of the merch pile.
But if Iron Maiden sort of decided to, we're going to wear the t-shirts of the bands we want to support, it would just be like
Marillion t-shirts.
It'd be everyone in a Raven Age t-shirt. It's just like the whole band.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or, any other Maiden Nepo baby band. So before the set list is the big reveal, right? We'll get to the set list.
Yeah.
First up on my list of things for our Dream Maiden shows, your Dream Iron Maiden era / lineup.
Oh, okay.
So because this is like a fantasy gig, you can go back in time any way you like to see any lineup. Your gig can be performed by any lineup of Iron Maiden, potentially even multiple lineups.
Okay.
Or at least guests.
Yeah, okay. I mean, to be honest, I think lineup-wise, I would have the current lineup of Iron Maiden, but everyone is like 30 years younger.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe we're going mid to late 80s.
So you've got like a sort of counterfactual Maiden history where Yannick still joins for No Prayer for the Dying, but Adrian doesn't.
But he's young.
Yeah, so
they're all young.
So they have like the 3 guitar attack from the 1990s.
But they're all in their 30s.
Okay, that's reasonable. Like, I think I would actually go for Maiden between 2000 to 2005.
Okay, that's fine.
I think. As we'll go into the set list, there's a lot of bias here from our own personal perspectives and our own history of the band and, when we first saw Maiden. But for me, that early period, just after Bruce rejoins...
Yeah, I think
there's no slight on Maiden since. Like, they're still great life, but, I think,
And my choice isn't a slight on that period. Like, that period, they're absolutely firing on all cylinders. I guess when I think of, like, the visual of Iron Maiden, it's still quite immortalized in their slightly ridiculous 80s garb, and everyone has quite long hair.
You just want Bruce with long hair. That's what's about, isn't it?
And like wearing like the gauntlet thingy that he had, and
that weird little chainmail vest he had.
Yeah, like as Spinal Tappy and as aesthetic as we can go for is what I want.
Yeah, that's a sensible choice. Okay, so far you've got Sam, a sort of counterfactual Iron Maiden circa 1990, but with Yannick.
Someone's got a time machine and just pulled them out.
Yeah, and so you've still got 3 guitarists there, yeah?
Still got 3 guitarists,
okay.
Yeah.
Because, Yannick is controversial in some circles.
He just seems like a nice dude. And he's always having such a whale of a time on stage. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't you want him there?
I'm a massive Yannick apologist, personally. Like, anyone who slags off Yannick, I'm like, get in the
I don't think you need to apologise for him. He hasn't got, like, war crimes to his name.
Well, no, but there are people who properly go for the bloke and are like,
Is that just because they're...
Well, his guitar's not turned on. He just... Oh, look at him having fun. Like, of course he's having fun. He's in Iron Maiden.
Yeah, he's in Iron Maiden, and he doesn't have to play all the time, so he can showboat.
As a slightly random aside, I was with you, and I remember we were watching the Norwegian progressive black metal band Enslaved. This would be like 07, 08.
Okay.
And their guitar player, Ice Dale, great name.
Where were we watching Enslaved?
Bloodstock.
Oh, okay.
Did I say Bloodstock?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Just said the year, and I was like...
Oh, sorry, no, we were watching Bloodstock, and their guitar player, Ice Dale, had his shirt off and was just rocking out like a rock star. And I remember being stood next to someone who was just moaning about that the whole time. Like, oh, God, he's a rock star poser. But he's in a metal band, mate. He's a guitar player. Like, he's
enjoying himself.
God forbid he has the audacity
on a show
to move around. And, the bloke was ripped. It's the Phil Collins thing. Like, sun's out, get your shirt off. But yeah, so...
the Phil Collins mantra.
Yeah.
It's daylight, I'm going to take my shirt off.
Look, if I spent 12 hours a day in the gym, I'd want other people to see my body as well.
If I was in my 60s, I'd look like Phil Collins. I just wouldn't own T-shirts.
Incidentally, this is not the first time we've talked about Phil Collins' ripped body.
It's just an impressive man.
Very impressive man. So we've got Iron Maiden in the 1990s, but with a 3-guitar attack.
And one weird extra addition, just as like a fun thing at the end for Iron Maiden, the song, they'll just have Blaze join.
Okay.
Funsies.
Okay, nice.
Like, just bring him on stage. Everyone has fun.
I am going very much...
Maybe not Paul, though.
Maybe not Paul. Maybe... What would be good would be if someone just wheels him across the stage in his chair and he can wave to the crowd and then he just goes quickly across to the other side just so he gets his face in.
Nah, not even that.
Okay, fair. So I'm going for current Iron Maiden, but circa 2000 to 2005.
Cool.
Stage set and design then. What is your dream Maiden gig? What's the stage set? What kind of, you can just borrow one from the past. Put some things together.
Yeah, I'd probably mesh a couple of things together. I mean, I would ideally make it as garish as possible. So you would have the Seventh Son Eddie next to the Power Slave Eddie next to...
How many Eddies on stage at this
Just
point?
have like 3 Eddies on stage, but they all like have them on like a rotating panel, right? So the backdrop swaps out for a different Eddie depending on the songs.
Bloody hell.
And then obviously I'd want like the Cyborg Eddie stalking the stage at some point.
So whereas usually you just have, one big Eddie at the back of Iron Maiden.
This is
Every song has a different, but not even a backdrop, like an actual
Eddie.
inflatable Eddie.
Yeah.
Right, cool.
Yeah. Look, you said it was a dream set.
It is a dream set.
And my dream would be to have a lot more Eddies.
Fair, because that's the one thing Iron Maiden don't have enough of.
Yeah.
It's Eddies.
And then for the stage itself, as long as it's just got sort of multiple levels to it so that people can go up and down, that's all it needs. And maybe like a runway out into the crowd.
Maiden never do that, do
I know. Yeah.
They're
But I
really-
always like those.
I think
they're quite fun.
Ego ramp. As
The
it's,
ego ram, that's what
as
it's
it's sometimes
called.
known. Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. And Maiden, that's really odd. It's sort of weird, isn't it? Because when you look at, I say their peers, but a band like Metallica, they seem intent on constantly reconfiguring.
Yeah.
Even Def Leppard, in the round concerts, ramps.
Yeah.
Maiden very much have a set way of doing things, which is the stage. There's multiple levels to the stage, but we stay on the stage.
Yeah.
Oh, sometimes
an
Bruce
ego
will
ramp
climb
would be
up
fun.
a little scaffold or something, won't he?
Yeah. How about you? What's your stage look like?
So, I'm basically going for the Death on the Road, the Dance of Death tour.
Okay.
Gothic, macabre castles. The artwork was so bad for Dance of Death, but the actual production of the tour was great. Like, it looked really well. The colour palette was good. I don't need the artwork.
Do you think that was a response to the artwork?
Maybe they were like, "Oh Christ, we really need to make this
dear.
look better." But yeah, sort of, it was all very medieval, goth castles,
Yeah.
Grim Reaper-y. But I'd have that, but with the sort of pyro inflatable budget of Legacy of the Beast.
Okay.
So just lots of stuff going bang, lots of fire,
Yeah.
inflatable things. I mean, probably not a Spitfire. Spoiler, Aces High isn't in my set list. But something else that's inflatable that drops down.
Okay.
Yeah. Stuff going bang, really.
Oh yeah. I should have said my stage would have so much pyro.
Oh, yes. So, and a confetti cannon. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, so much pyro, there would be a risk of blowing up one of the many Eddies.
And also, I feel Bruce has to do a kind of costume change for every song, even if it's a slight.
Yeah. I definitely want
tweak.
costume changes.
Yeah, like a mask, or I thought it was really cool in Legacy of the Beast for Fear of the Dark, where he came out with that kind of plague mask and the top hat and the lantern.
That was cool.
Yeah, but it was naff as hell. But people like us, are
Yeah,
like,
okay,
"That's
it's
so
not cool, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it a lot. So that's a stage set. Now, this was, I didn't prep you about this beforehand because I had this thought about an hour ago. What venue do you want to see this show in?
I mean, part of me just wants to say Cardiff International Arena because I can walk there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's presume this is a fantasy where you can just magically appear in any venue in the world.
I mean, the O2 Arena is a good venue. Like, the sound is really solid.
Yeah.
And has a big enough stage for stuff. I mean, I guess my favorite venue in general that wouldn't fit this stage set that I've decided for the band would be Coco in London, which is like an amazing sort of ornate theatre.
Yeah.
I mean, they've completely changed that. I don't know what it looks like anymore. But 5 years ago, it was like a multi-tiered ornate theatre setting, and that was very good for gigs. But that won't fit one Eddie, let alone 3.
No, so it's basically
So I kind of just have to go
for arena.
Yeah. So O2 Arena or a stadium of some kind, I guess.
Yeah. So I was almost trying to think of what's the biggest venue that isn't quite arena level, because it feels like the obvious answer is to say, oh, I'd like to see Iron Maiden at, say, in Cardiff, Fuel Rock Bar. Of course, that's
what a gig that would be.
It would be a gig, but there'd be no production because you can't fit a production into Fuel because it has 300 capacity.
Just be Rod Smallwood wearing an Eddie mask, walking around the tiny crowd.
Or just for the fun of it, to say, oh, I'd like to see Iron Maiden at the Ruskin Arms or something.
Yeah.
But again, you wouldn't have a show. So I was thinking, what's like the sort of biggest room you can get that isn't quite arena level? And I've not actually even been there, but maybe like Hammersmith Apollo, Brixton Academy.
I just don't think either of those are big enough. Having been to a bunch of gigs at both of them.
Well, then you know what? Even though the sound's often quite ropey, I'll go for Cardiff International Arena because it's one of the smallest arenas in the country, really. So it's quite a nice, by Maiden standards, it's quite an intimate setting. But you're not going outdoors. You're not going stadium. You're not going.
Well, I was just thinking now, like, actually, I guess if I'm going for like an over the top big production, maybe what makes more sense is an outdoor festival setting. So I am going to resurrect Sonosphere from the grave, and that is going to be my venue.
Okay.
Rest in peace, Sonosphere. What a great festival.
As an experience, as a punter, it was such a lovely festival to attend.
Yeah.
This is becoming a Sonosphere podcast. It's such a nice experience.
Just had a great vibe.
Most
mix
of the
of
large
bands,
festivals.
But I totally get why it's gone. It just split the market too much between Download and Bloodstock.
Yeah, and then
there wasn't room for a third.
What was it? Hard Rock Calling and Hyde Park got involved, and But the weird thing for me is that I've never had anything less than an amazing time at a Maiden gig. But my really favourite Maiden gigs are all indoors. And I can't tell you why, other than Reading 05, but that set list you could perform that set list anywhere and it would be one of my favourite Maiden gigs. But yeah, there's something about Maiden, I just prefer them indoors, and I can't quite tell you why.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a strong preference either way.
There we are. Yeah. So we've got pretty much both of us there in terms of our set list. You're going to see them in arenas, right? So you've got...
Yeah, somewhere big.
Yeah, somewhere big. Mine's slightly less big, but pretty big. So now we get to the dream support. And we're saying, when we get to the small print of this...
Yeah, so there's two support bands, and one has a specific criteria.
Yeah, so we've got two support acts, which is... Actually, Maiden tend to... These days, they only tend to have one, but I've definitely seen Maiden in the past.
I've seen them, yeah.
Yeah. So, go on, because I haven't decided mine yet.
Okay, so...
Who are your two support acts?
The first criteria, the only support act criteria we have is the first band has to be a Nepo Baby Iron Maiden band.
Yeah.
So...
Because there
it has to be the band of one of the children of an Iron Maiden member.
Yeah.
Which... So, in order to prepare for this, I listened to quite a lot of Nepo Baby Maiden material, and I basically just netted out on Lauren Harris.
Yeah.
Just because of all the bands, like, that's the closest to my taste, like, quite catchy sort of poppy rock with good hooks and Richie Faulkner on guitar. I think I would enjoy that much more than any of the other bands, like, what are they, As Lions or The Raven Age or...
Rise to Remain.
Well, As Lions is what...
is it?
Rise to Remain, as I found out this morning researching
I didn't know that.
But yeah, they're all sort of too modern alternative for me, in quotey marks.
Yeah.
They're not my jam.
It's damn young.
Whereas Lauren Harris, at least, is like catchy and fun.
Yeah, I mean, without being an expert in any of them, I would also go for Lauren Harris, I think. Because she was the support act on the A Matter of Life and Death tour, wasn't she?
Yeah, and then it was Trivium. So that was
Trivium.
That was quite a...
gear shift.
Whiplash.
But those are in the days when opening for Maiden used to be really hard. And something changed about 2010, and that was totally different. And whereby I've never seen... Like, I remember the first time I saw Maiden on the Dance of Death tour, Funeral for a Friend were the opening act, when they were the hot up-and-coming thing. They had a torrid time. Even in Cardiff, and they're like a Welsh band.
It's not a good fit.
No. But even Trivium, and they were doing the Crusade then, which was their
And like
metal album.
Trivium were big at that
big.
point.
And they had a hard time.
Yeah, I mean, at that time,
relatively speaking.
at that time being a sort of Bolshevik elitist 16-year-old, I was very much anti-Trivium. But actually, in retrospect, it was pretty decent.
I wasn't like a massive Trivium fan, but I wasn't anti-Trivium. It was a decent set, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
good. But something changed. I'm not sure if people just got a bit older or just calmed down a bit.
Maybe.
But, I remember seeing, Legacy of the Beast tour, Killswitch Engage with the open on that run. Did you get in time for Killswitch's set?
No, I didn't.
But they're the kind of band.
I was in Five Guys having some dinner beforehand.
Delightful. But they're the kind of band that 10 years prior, I think, would have had a really hard time.
Yeah.
But people were just either into it or ambivalent.
Okay, so we've both chosen Lauren Harris as the Nepo baby. Who is your...
She's the only one I've listened to.
There we go. Who's your second support act?
I am going for Ghost.
I nearly chose Ghost.
Well, I'll be interested to see who you did choose. I just think, and actually, you know what? Ghost are probably at the point of their 6 years ago. Ghost would have been a brilliant shout, whereas now Ghost can play arenas in this country on their own. So
that's why I didn't choose Ghost.
Yeah,
I thought they were too big.
But
they would still open for Maiden. But like, if it was a tour, they're too big to be doing that slot.
Yeah, but they opened for Metallica fairly recently, and I know Metallica might be again another small rung up the ladder for Maiden, perhaps. But there's only a handful of bands in the metal world that I think Ghost would consider opening for now.
Yeah.
And Maiden would be one of them. So I just think that, and apparently according to our Twitter, not the sort of nice people who interact with us all the time, just the slightly random people who pop up, like that would be a terrible thing. Ghost would be awful.
Well,
it's like Metal ABBA. I mean, what doesn't sound good about? Yeah, what doesn't sound good about Metal ABBA?
Yeah, that was also part of the reason why I didn't pick Ghost in the end as well. Was that I wasn't sure how well it would go down with the audience, but perhaps I've been slighted by Twitter drive-by posts.
Like in the real world, I think that would go down a storm. Like in all honesty, I think if Maiden are looking for, and I say a young band, their first album came out 2010, I think. So
relatively recent,
a relatively recent band, rather than
things.
In the past they've taken bands like Bullet for My Valentine out, and sort of bands that I think Maiden are sort of trying to go, oh yeah, look, we're promoting younger metal, which is a really nice thing to do.
Yeah.
But the choices are a bit skew-iff.
Yeah.
But Ghost would, be a perfect fit for me. And I love Ghost, so I have a lovely
I think that'd
time.
be fantastic.
Go on, what's yours?
So when I decided against Ghost, what I was also trying to figure out was like, what would be a fun, quite metal act to open up? That's not a legacy band. So my immediate thought was going to be Halloween, but then like, actually, that is a bit too much of legacy. And to be honest, I would just want a Halloween headline show. A support slot wouldn't be enough Halloween for me.
Maiden would be a disappointment after Halloween for you. Like, I say this to someone wearing a Halloween t-shirt right now. You'd just be going, bloody Iron Maiden.
Bring back Michael Kiske.
Yeah, where's Kai Hansen?
Where's Kai?
Get him out here.
So I landed on Powerwolf.
Oh, nice.
Because I thought
you might say Sabaton, actually.
So
kind of a similar ballpark.
In my notes I've put Sabaton maybe, but if anything, the thing with Sabaton is it feels subject matter wise maybe too close to Maiden. Like there's too much of an overlap, lots of historical stuff. There'll be a tank. Whereas with Powerwolf, there's enough distinction for it to be, like quite a different show, but at the same time, enough overlap for it to still feel in tone with the Maiden gig. So, I also, Powerwolf are just really fun live.
That is a brilliant shout, actually. Yeah, I don't know why Powerwolf didn't cross my mind, but
I think I would enjoy Ghost more, but Powerwolf felt like more of a fit.
Yeah, and I feel, have Powerwolf played gigs in Europe with Maiden? But if it hasn't happened, like Maiden need to get on that, really, and because that would be perfect.
And I will take an ideation fee of £50, please. Just mail it to me, Rod Smallwood, please.
I think Rod Smallwood has got 50 quid spare. I'm sure he'll.
Please, I need it.
All of that, though, I guess that's very much the preamble to what is going to be the clinching, the deciding factor in most people's dream Maiden gig, which is the set list.
Yeah.
Now, as we mentioned earlier, to remember, you'll be able to vote for this at Maiden Pod, one word.
Yep. There's going to be a week-long, aggressively marketed Twitter poll.
With just obviously our battling comments back and forth about who's his best. Should we go over the ground rules? Because we thought we need to set some rules here.
Yeah.
Otherwise we'd have 30 long song set lists. So as long as I can remember, the average Iron Maiden set list has been 15 songs long.
Yep.
So we've limited ourselves to 15 tracks, not taking the mick of long songs. That was the rule.
Yeah, it couldn't be 15 8-minute songs.
Not every song could be a long song. The final song of the main set. So typically, although they did mess with this formula a bit on the Senjutsu tour, where they did like 2 encores, but we're going with the traditional Maiden formula. 12 songs main set. Final song, so track 12 of the set has to be Iron Maiden.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we say,
can Iron Maiden be in the encore?
It could, yeah, no, as long as it's there somewhere.
Okay,
I'll give you that. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Fine,
Typically, I mean, I've played by the rules, but it's fine.
Rules are for suckers.
And so you've got 12 songs main set, Iron Maiden has to be in there, and a 3-song encore.
Yeah.
So 15 songs in total. I was going to toss a coin to see who would go first. So we're going to go track by track, aren't we? Track 1, track 2, but I don't have a coin. So
I might have a coin.
Oh, here we go. Does Sam have a coin? This will be the next Twitter poll.
Where is this?
He's got a wallet, folks.
I've got an American quarter.
How talk about humble brag. Someone's been on holiday.
Someone exchanged 30 pence.
Okay,
All right, heads or tails?
I'll go Tails for Wales.
Tails.
Hey, okay, so it looks like I'm going first.
Wales.
So, track 1. It's like, if you don't want a spoiler of the upcoming Iron Maiden tour, listen away now. This will be the only one from my set list, because my track 1 is the same as the track 1 of the current Maiden tour, which is I'm going with track 1, Caught Somewhere in Time.
Whoa.
And, with the intro, obviously, Doctor, into the Blade Runner theme, which was the original intro tape for the summer.
Is that what they did?
Yeah, they opened with the
Man, they are wearing their influences on the
Yeah.
sleeve there.
and then into Caught Somewhere in Time, which
Nice.
I think, what a way
That's
to
a
kick off.
bold opening statement.
Isn't it, right? Well,
Yeah.
even on the current tour, I was like, wow, fair play, guys.
Yeah.
I hoped you'd do that, but I didn't actually think you would.
Very cool.
And yeah, I mean, up until recently, hasn't been played live in our lifetimes.
Wow.
I think it was last
And
played.
we're old.
We're quite old, yeah. I mean, we're bloody married with, houses and stuff.
I mean, I guess theoretically we could do that earlier in our lives. But the point is, we're not young.
No, the fact is, like most people of our generation, we had to wait until our 30s to be able to achieve any of these quite basic life goals that people took for granted.
I had to move to Cardiff.
Yeah.
Not for the marriage.
Yeah. But yeah, that for me, Caught Somewhere in Time, just tempo, adrenaline.
Yeah. That's
Kicking things off.
great
The
opening
band
call.
running on stage from the wings as they usually do. I imagine what you do is, the opening guitar synthy line, the do, 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 do.
Yeah.
That bit, that's probably going to be on track, right? But you have that and the lights are going.
Yeah.
And then the band run on to the da, 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 da. Ah,
Yeah, that sounds great.
I really hope that happens this year.
Cool. I like it.
Yeah, so my track 1, Caught Somewhere in Time. Sam.
Okay, so set the stage. Doctor's just played. The stage is black. A curtain drops. I assume they have a curtain. I can't remember. Depends on the venue. Curtain drops, and then you just hear, "Can I play with madness?"
Wow.
Boom!
Wow.
Right in there.
Wow.
Imagine that as an opener.
That is bold.
And it's high adrenaline opening.
That is high adrenaline. And I like it. I like it a lot. That is, Jesus Christ, it's opening with...
Be so strong.
It would be, yeah, you know what? And because our next episode will be when we look at that album, Sun. And it's not actually one of my favourite tracks off that album. an album I love. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. But it's not one of my favourite songs. But as an open,
I mean, it is one of my favorite songs, but also I just think it's such a fun, like, it's sort of Iron Maiden's party song to me.
I mean, to be fair, I can see it now. Can I play with madness? Pyro, boom,
Yeah.
Great.
Confetti everywhere
Yeah, love
already.
It. Oh, it's gonna be a strong fight, isn't it? It's gonna be a stiff contest. Quarter summer in time.
So, what's your second track?
Okay, track 2, Future Real.
Nice.
Yes. Like, I would lose my mind if Maiden did Future Real again. And they have done it since Bruce has rejoined. They did it in 2000, I want to say. There's a live version of Bruce singing it, which appeared as a B-side to one of the Brave New World singles. But I think track 1 and 2, you want to keep the pace going, right?
Yeah.
So we're going high tempo, upbeat, Future Real, amazing. A song they haven't done live in, over 20 years now.
Yeah.
I would be very happy to see Future Real. And, one of the better Blaze era singles.
Yeah. Really cracking song.
Yeah, I mean, like all those
That's a
Blaze
cool
albums,
choice.
terrible production, but live would sound...
You're going for like quite a sort of cyberpunk start to your set.
Yeah, I didn't even make that connection. But yeah, it has been quite a cyberpunky kickoff. Okay, go on, your track 2.
It's track 2, Minutes to Midnight.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So
I didn't choose it just because 2 and 2. But I just thought my set's quite front loaded with like crowd pleasers.
Oh, these are big hitters. Yeah. Track 1, like, Can I Play with Madness? And track 2, Mr. Midnight. You really are.
Just some high intensity kickoff.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine anyone in the audience would complain about that.
Exactly.
What I would say so far is that your set is definitely going to please more people than mine.
At this point, yes.
Okay. Let's see how we get on then, because my track 3, it's sort of weird, because, I said Future Real's track 2, that was a single, right?
Yeah.
It's on Maiden Best Ofs, but it's not necessarily considered a big song. But track 3, I am going big. A song that I think should never leave Maiden set lists, Flight of Icarus.
Nice.
We're just slowing down the tempo ever so slightly at this point. But when they brought it back for Legacy of the Beast, I desperately hope that wasn't our last chance to hear. It was the only time I've ever heard that song played live in my
I mean,
time
what
as
a
a Maiden fan.
right?
Yeah, what a song. And one of their biggest songs, and it's just been so criminally overlooked. I'm happy to hear it played live till the end of time. And I need Bruce, like on Legacy of the Beast, where he had that flamethrower on his back, with the Eddie, with the Icarus Eddie of the wings in the background, and fire. But yeah, track 3, Flight of Icarus for me.
Nice. My track 3 is, I'm continuing the theme, The Trooper. Next.
Bloody hell. The Trooper track. So you've gone, Can I Play with Madness to Mr. Midnight, The Trooper?
Yeah.
I mean, where's he going to go from here, folks? Like, track 4, Run to the Hills.
It's just the Eddie the Great compilation.
Yeah. I mean, no one's going to argue that.
Yeah.
What I would say is, again, no spoilers. Well, sorry, this is a spoiler. None of the songs you've mentioned so far are in my set at all.
Interesting.
The Trooper was in there until last night.
So, a mild
out the very last
spoiler, the last 2 songs you've mentioned were contenders for my set list, but I dropped both of them. So, Future Real and Flight of Icarus.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
As much as I wanted both of them in there, I just couldn't make it work with the kind of weird vibe I was going for.
Yeah.
for
This is a bit of a rewind before we go into track 4, but when I first put this together, did you have any other? Because track 1's a really big one, isn't it? At first I thought my track 1 was going to be Murders in the Rue Morgue.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's a reason why I'll get to that. I did swap it for Quarter Somewhere in Time.
Yeah.
And partly because you should say about these well, I don't know about you, but my set list, so much of this is based on like my own history of seeing Maiden live, if you see what I mean. So I've been quite lucky. I've seen Maiden live a lot. I've seen pretty much most of the things I'd want to hear at this point. So a lot of this just reflects stuff I've not necessarily seen Maiden play, or maybe only heard them play once. So this isn't necessarily my favourite 15 Iron Maiden songs.
So I think we've kind of swapped positions then, because when we were talking about this episode and the planning for it, it sounded like you were probably going to go a little more crowd pleasy, and I wanted to be weird and just do a set of obscurities based on songs that I hadn't seen live. And then as So I originally started with a short list of 40 songs, which took a long time to dwindle down. And for me, as I kind of started thinking about the flow of a set list, I found that I couldn't do a set list just filled with like Reach Out and Nodding Donkey Blues and like just weird cuts.
Did you
like,
seriously have Nodding Donkey Blues?
No, but I did have Reach Out in a first draft. But I realized like most people just be, what is this? What's happening?
Be very confused.
Why are you doing this?
I feel like I've not gone B-sides or that deep. But
Yeah.
there are. Well, let's go.
So let's go to track 4.
Let's go to track 4. So this is the portion of the set list that is my somewhat deeper cuts midsection, because you've had 3 reasonably big songs to get you going, right? Caught Some Own Time, Future Real, Flight of Icarus.
Yeah.
2 of those are singles. Track 4, Afraid to Shoot Strangers
Okay.
from Fear of the Dark.
Yeah.
We have seen Maiden do once because they did it on the Maiden England tour.
Yeah.
But
Interesting choice.
I think, an interesting choice in the way you're like, that's a terrible choice.
No, I mean, like, for variety's sake, I think it's worth it.
I think it's one of the underrated Iron Maiden songs, Afraid to Shoot Strangers.
Yeah.
It's kind of moody, atmospheric, an amazing lead guitar part. And also Maiden doing quite an earnest lyric.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more when we get to the Fear of the Dark album, but written about the Gulf War, about someone who feels conflicted about being a soul. Most Maiden songs about war, it's like, killing and shooting people. This is great. This is quite a song about someone a soldier who broadly feels that, what they're doing is right, but the idea of killing someone they don't know is, it's an oddly poignant, moving thing. And I love Afraid to Shoot Strangers, so that's my track 4.
So on track 4, so obviously I've had like 3 absolute bangers.
Yeah.
But you can't maintain that energy for a whole set.
Well, you could.
I think it would start to blur and not like you need the peaks and troughs, right?
Yeah.
And not as in like you play a bad song next.
People
You
need to pee. They need to go to the toilet.
That's one. But you need some like variety in tempo and stuff. So my track 4 is Remember Tomorrow.
Nice.
To go for like a nice tonal shift.
Very nice. And God, I would. Yeah, again,
Such a great song.
it's not on my set, but I would love to hear Maiden do that one more time.
I did consider Children of the Damned, but Remember Tomorrow won out.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Yeah. Again, I saw Maiden do that Reading 2005.
I did that.
Just going to put that out there. So, my track 4 is Afraid to Shoot Strangers. Track 5, Power Slave.
Nice.
Yeah. What can you say about Power Slave? Great song, isn't it?
Great song.
Great song. Yeah. You all know how it goes. So, have some Power Slave.
Yeah.
I've seen Maiden do it. I saw them twice on the Summer Back in Time tour, so obviously I played it then. But then they also brought it back for the Book of Souls tour.
Ah.
Yeah, it was like a nice, it's hardly a deep cut Power Slave, but it felt like a little...
Title track.
of one of their best-selling, critically acclaimed albums, but it doesn't get an airing very often.
No.
So, I will never say no to Power Slave for my track 5.
So my track 5 is continuing the tonal shift, but in some ways. I've kind of thought of like a lot of my set in like little, I've compartmentalized bits. So you have the opening big hitters, and we're now in what I've called like the dirgy metal section.
Okay.
So the next one is Wrathchild.
Oh, nice.
So like something aggressive and aggy.
Very nice, yeah. Very
By
aggy.
Maiden standards.
Yeah, no, Wrathchild's an amazing song. Up until quite recently, though, it was such a constant in the Maiden set.
Yeah.
But having said that, it hasn't been in the Maiden set for, a little while now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was in that...
Legacy of the Beast or
Yeah.
Book of Souls, I don't think. So, actually, it's about time. There was a time it felt like every time I saw Maiden, they always played Wrathchild. And great, I'm never going to complain about that. But actually, it's...
Sounds like you're complaining.
Yeah, it's like, oh, God, yeah. No, like, I love Wrathchild, but it's ready to make a comeback, isn't it? Because it's been a little while. Yeah.
So track 6.
Now, this is probably my deepest cut.
Okay.
Track 6. Maybe. Looking at the rest of it. Yeah, probably is. I'm going for Starblind.
What album's that off?
Final Frontier.
Oh, okay.
Now, Starblind has never been played live,
Yeah.
but I have a funny relationship with the Final Frontier anyway, because I remember getting it and being like, oh, yeah, this is decent, but it's really grown on me over the years, that album.
I remember at the time really enjoying Final Frontier and listening to it a lot, but I haven't been back to it in about a decade.
See, I'm the opposite. Like, I think, and it's not the album, it's more me, where my musical tastes were at that time. I bought it obviously as soon as it came out. And I was like, oh, this is good. But that the final 2/3 for me is probably one of the best 50 minutes of music made at least this century. And Starblind, I think, is a really, again, a bit like Afraid to Shoot Strangers, but even more so, really underappreciated. I don't know why they didn't play it live on that tour, but I could have picked Isle of Avalon or The Talisman or When the Wild Wind there's so many. The longer songs in that album are really good.
Yeah.
But Starblind is the one for me that I'm like, I've never even played that live. And there's enough big hitters-ish coming up that you can get away with chucking in like what is a bit of a curio, I guess. But I would like to Starblind for my track 6.
So my track 6, so we're still in like the Aggie metal section for me.
Okay, yeah.
But I guess this is kind of a deep cut, so I've gone for Killers.
Oh, there's a lot of... So far we've not had anything past Power Slave in your set.
No, that does change.
That does change. Okay. Oh, no, the Seventh Son, sorry, because you opened Can I Play?
Oh, yeah, I opened with Can I Play with Madness. Yeah.
But this is an exclusively 80 set list so far.
So far, but that does change.
Yeah. Killers, wicked.
Yeah, I mean, what a great song. I can't believe I didn't hear it until last year whenever we did the Killers episode.
And I don't think Maiden have played that song live since 1988.
Yeah, and it deserves an airing out.
Definitely deserves an airing. And, as much as I'm not going to complain about that early days tour set list, they didn't play Killers.
Yeah.
Come on.
And also keep in mind the version of Maiden that are playing My Dream set list are like all in their 30s, a bit more angry.
Yeah.
So, there's a bit... They're still incredible performers today, but they definitely feel a bit nicer.
Yeah.
Whereas this would be a little more in your face.
Yeah, bit more venom. Yeah, but that's a great shout, actually. Killers. Lovely stuff. So track 7 now then?
Yep.
So again, this is almost like the slightly cosmic part of the set, because we've gone for Starblind into Infinite Dreams.
Ooh.
Which I love. Infinite Dreams.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Has not been played live for about 30 years at this point.
Yeah.
Which is a travesty.
Yeah.
An absolute travesty. I wonder, I know I've said this about lots of things, will we get it live again? It seems, but when you think it was a single off that record, it's on the greatest hits and everything else. Why they ignore it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would love to hear Infinite Dreams.
It's a great song.
Yeah.
It's a great song.
As will be discussed in the next episode.
Yeah.
When we talk about Seven Sun. So Infinite Dreams.
So rounding out my metallic section is Monster off Dance of Death.
Wow. Great shout.
Just such a great song.
Great shout.
Like it is one of the heaviest Maiden songs out there, but it still has so many good major key hooks in it. It's just I'd love to see that live.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's sort of the folky part, the very heavy riff.
Yeah, like that jig lead and stuff. Yeah, great.
Yeah, and again, that has never been played live.
Yeah.
Which is a very curious choice. I can only imagine it must be a bit awkward to play or something.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I'd love to hear that. So where are we at? Track 8.
Track 8.
And it's funny you bring us on to Dance of Death because this is this is the part of my set list. I'm not necessarily going to call this a cheat, right? But we mentioned
A Face in the Sand, the Nico McBrain vocal version.
But we mentioned in the run up to Final Frontier, Maiden did that short tour where they were playing 21st century material.
Yeah.
Now, usually, Maiden are very rigid of their sets, right? They don't change it up at all. They're not metallic. They won't switch stuff in and out. But on that tour, they were alternating each night between Passchendaele and Dance of Death.
Right.
So I am going to let Maiden surprise me with one of those songs.
I mean, both such excellent songs.
Yeah. So I'm quite happy. So in my Dream Maiden concert, every night they are alternating between Passchendaele and Dance of Death, and I'm happy to take either of them.
That's fair. That's fair.
If push comes to shove, for the purposes of putting us as a poll on Twitter, because we got Dance of Death at Sonosphere,
Yeah.
I will go for Passchendaele again.
Okay.
Because I've only ever seen them do that once, the first time I saw Maiden. But yeah, that was amazing. But both were great. I will take either for my track 8.
Fair. So for my track 8, I think my Aggie section is over.
Yeah.
And it's slowing things down a bit, going with Stranger in a Strange Land.
Nice.
So still heavy, but with a bit more, I guess, like spacey cerebralness.
No long
to it.
songs yet. This is a very concise, short, sharp.
I have a limited attention span,
Yeah.
it turns out.
No, but I'm not going to argue with Strangers in Strangeland. And again, well, spoiler, but if you are going to see Iron Maiden this year, that's going to be fun, isn't it? I'm going to be a very happy boy when they play Strangers in Strangeland.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So, coming towards the end of the set now, really, kind of. So my track 9, this was the last change I made, because track 9 was going to be the Trooper,
Yeah.
but I swapped it for, again, totally selfishly, 22 Acacia Avenue.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just because, again, I've never seen it. It's one of my favourite Maiden songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically I'm being a prick and not giving people what they want. This is what I want. This is my Dream Maiden gig.
Yeah.
And I've seen Maiden play the Trooper virtually every time I've seen Iron Maiden. As brilliant as the song as that is, I would rather see 22 Acacia Avenue.
That's fair. That's fair. So my track 9, I'm not sure I necessarily stand by this anymore. But
Okay.
earlier this week, I was really adamant that it should be in there. And I had it in lots of, like, in all my draft versions. Because I do have a weird soft spot for the song. So I've gone for El Dorado,
Okay.
which I realize is...
I'll say hi. Okay.
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 I realize it's not, like, maybe not a top tier Maiden song, but there's a really good energy to it. It's kind of like if Iron Maiden did Cold Sweat by Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
Like, it's that kind of driving momentum. And I think it would be a nice breakup from the sort of more aggressive stuff I've gone with to have, like, this sort of adventurous song.
No, I think El Dorado is a great shout, actually. Yeah, no, it's a really good song. And one of the last truly great short song Iron Maiden have written. Actually, I like it. Death or Glory on Book
I
of
mean,
Hell.
it's still quite long. It's still, like, nearing 7 minutes.
It's not, is it?
I will
How do they manage that? But yeah, but no, I think El Dorado is a very good shout.
6 minutes 49.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but good call. No, I'd always be happy to see El Dorado up in a Maiden set. So my track 10, Be Quick or Be Dead.
Ooh.
Yes.
I had that in some drafts, but it was going to be in the Aggie metal section, but I took it out.
It is very Aggie, isn't it? So
Yeah.
we're kind of ramping it. I say we're ramping it back up if we just had 22 Acacia Avenue. But I feel like there's a slightly moody mid-section to my set with Infinite Dreams and Passchendaele and Starblind. But now we're ramping it back up.
Yeah.
Be Quick or Be Dead. It was almost it sort of makes sense as an opening track, really. But I couldn't quite make it. But anyway, Be Quick or Be Dead, again, hasn't been played live in God knows how long.
Yeah.
What a great Maiden song.
Yeah. Absolutely.
In general, they really ignore the Fear of the Dark album.
Yeah.
And there are parts of it that are rightfully ignored. But there are other parts of it
it's just a banger. I love Be Quick.
yeah. Just, can you imagine just dripping with?
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, so my track 10.
So my track 10 is almost the opposite of Be Quick or Be Dead. Like, really bring
Journeyman?
not far off. Out of the Shadows.
Oh,
Off
nice.
of Life and Death. I wanted something slow and more contemplative, and I love that song. I think it's such a great underrated song.
No, I haven't thought about that song in a long time, but it is a very good song.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. I like that.
Do you remember around the time A Matter of Life and Death came out, Channel 4 had a series of where they had people like various bands and artists performing live in the studio at Abbey Road Studios.
Yeah, I do.
And there's a clip of them doing Out of the Shadows on that.
Yeah, and a lot of the audio recordings tend to be
B-sides, and it's just forever like burnt into my brain as just like that song has such a great slow energy about it.
It's because that song to me always, it's a great song, and yet it seems like such a Bruce solo track.
Yeah,
because his solo albums, well, particularly
it's very Tears of the Dragon.
Yeah, but and actually, and even going forward, it's an odd one for a Maiden song, but it works so well on that album. Yeah, that's a very good shout. Like that a lot. Right.
Glad I have your approval.
Back to business. Track 11. We're getting towards the end of the main set now.
Yeah.
Fear of the Dark.
That's fair.
Because you've not really had any of the big hitters in the set so far. Yeah. Mine. You've not had Run to the Hills. You've not had The Trooper. You've not had Number the Beast. You're not getting them. But they're not coming. But, and, you know, being in the lucky position I am that, and I appreciate there'll be people listening to this who've seen Maiden far more than I have. But I've been lucky enough to see that stuff a lot.
Yeah.
But there are a few things that, even though I've seen them every time I've seen Maiden, I would just really miss if it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And Fear of the Dark is one of those things.
I think that's
towards
fair.
The end of the main set. It's such a centerpiece, isn't it? And it's just a brilliant song. Like a truly great song.
That's fair.
Fear of the Dark for me, track 11.
So my track 11 is, we just had Out of the Shadows, and then if you just imagine that song closing and you just have the bass line for The Clairvoyant kick in.
Oh,
and then you go through the rest of the song, The Clairvoyant.
Yeah, just the bass line.
No, and then the whole song. But I just think like that transition would be really cool, and it is one of my all-time favorite Maiden tracks.
Yeah. No,
not sure how anyone else feels about that song, but this is my set list.
The people like The Clairvoyant. Well, they should like The Clairvoyant. I mean,
what a song!
Yeah, brilliant song. Yeah, as to be discussed next episode.
Yeah,
so tune into that. So I'm in what has been a slightly eclectic set list. I'm staying very traditional for my final song of the main set, as you'd expect. Track 12, Iron Maiden. Again, you'd almost say I don't need to hear it live again.
No.
But there are Iron Maiden are one of those bands teaching a bit of media studies as I do now. They talk about kind of, I can't remember the term, which probably means I'm not a very good media studies teacher, but like franchises relying upon continuity and difference.
Right.
So a Bond film, there has to be enough. I think it's Steve Neal, is that the theorist who came up with this idea? But it's like a Bond film, for example, it needs to be different enough to engage you from the other Bond films, but also needs to be that continuity of the things you expect. So you want to see the iconic title screens, and you want to hear him ask for a martini, or say Bond, name's Bond, James Bond, and that's kind of like a Maiden set, right? You need the difference.
There's the tropes
to have to be in there, but there needs to be that continuity. And closing the set of Iron Maiden, you just sort of need it. Right? It would feel to me, it would feel odd if that didn't happen at this point. So yeah, finishing with Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden off the album Iron Maiden.
So my track 12 is going to feel odd to you.
Yeah, it would feel odd. Yeah,
I do have Iron Maiden in the encore.
Okay,
but like still staying on similar lines of like a traditional way to end the set. Like obviously this is not how they end the set, but just having something part of their legacy. I thought it'd be cool to end the main set with Number of the Beast.
Oh,
like
nice.
It's quite a high to go out on.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and always a big pyro opportunity.
Exactly
in the main shows. Yeah, no, Number of the Beast, that works for me.
I also just love that song. I don't think I would get tired of Number of the Beast live.
Particularly sort of ending with the
yeah, exactly.
High pitched falsetto. Yeah, nice. Right, so main set's over.
Dunzo.
Everyone's exhausted. Full up of Iron Maiden.
Yeah. So my main set, maybe people aren't full up on Iron Maiden. So mine's probably quite a bit shorter than yours in terms of actually running time.
True, actually, yeah. People are like, what the hell? That was only like an hour and 10 minutes. Well, let's see if you redeem yourself in the encore. Because I quite like the fact that your set list is sort of themed in sort of sections, a bit like what they did on the Legacy of the Beast tour.
Yeah, but the sections aren't like chronological. I'm just trying to go for certain vibes.
Well, I didn't think they were in the Legacy of the Beast, but there was sort of like a kind of section that was like war-themed songs.
yeah.
And my encore is themed, and it's a chronological... I'm having an early days encore.
Okay.
Okay, so the main set, we've gone a bit all over the place.
Yeah.
We've gone, Final Frontier, 21st Century, all over. But my encore is solidly old school.
Okay.
So my track 13, track 1 of the encore, Prowler.
Nice.
Imagine that, just like they've gone off. I made and then just
Yeah.
wow, wow, wow. I would lose at my mind.
Yeah, that'd be really strong.
Yeah.
So for me, my first song of the encore, track 13, is again sort of total opposite. It's Dance of Death. So they come back on stage with Dance of Death.
But okay, like I love Dance of Death, but when you do an encore, people are expecting.
Yeah, I know,
something...
but I just thought it'd be like quite a cool sort of build back up to have like this epic to come back on stage to.
It would be. I would love it, and yet half the audience would just be going, "What the hell's this?
Yeah,
what song's this?" Oh yeah,
well,
screw that.
they'd be wrong.
Yeah, they would be wrong.
It's my set list.
Well, is that's also the first time we've got some crossover, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The first song that we've both.
Although
I said I'd alternate it
with Passion Devils, yeah.
So I may or may not get Dance of Death. That's the closest we've got so far. I mean, when you front loaded your set for so many hits.
Well, so that was kind of the point, right? Was that the front half of the set is like get some of the classics done out the way, get people amped up, and then go weird. But like with some like metallic stuff and some more cerebral deep cuts, and then the encore's just for me, really.
Yeah, everyone else is left. It's literally just me going, come on, guys. Cool. Well, keeping with my old school theme, so my first song of the encore, Prowler. So track 14, second song of the encore, Sanctuary.
Ooh, nice.
This is all just high tempo, upbeat, old school Iron Maiden bangers. And I've not seen them do Sanctuary since the early days tour. I don't think. Right. They did it then, but that's probably been the only time I've seen them play it.
Nice.
But yeah, it's good fun, Sanctuary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good fun.
Yeah.
So that's my track 14.
My track 14 is The Sheriff of Huddersfield. No, it's not. That'd be amazing, though. No.
As a little aside, when you get listening to the B-sides already for when we record the 777 Sun episode, there's a B-side called Black Bart Blues.
Okay.
Which is... it's not aged well.
Oh, dear.
Let's put it that way.
Okay.
We'll have that discussion next episode.
Okay.
So tune in for that, folks. But yeah.
No, so my track 14 is Iron Maiden. So that's where I've slotted it in.
Nice. I mean, that would discombobulate me, but it's your Dream Maiden set.
Yeah, so. which is fair. And I'll explain a bit more about it when we come on to the final track.
Okay. Well, I wonder if we have the same final track. My final track, keeping with the old school theme, quite frankly, I'd be happy if Maiden closed every gig with a song Running 3.
Running 3.
Is yours Running 3?
No.
Damn it.
But I knew what you were getting up.
Running 3. Yeah. Like, for me... Yeah, I've only seen them play it a couple of times live. You know, it's just that final, sort of that strange pre-Final Frontier tour in early days. I think that's the only time I've seen them play it live. But, or did they do it on some... don't know. But yeah, and also, it's just all the opportunities for the crowd participation.
Yeah.
I'm running free there, you. I'm running free. Yeah. Just, and you can do the band introduction with the bum, 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 and on the bass guitar.
It's not like a club night in the 80s.
I mean, Bruce almost does
like
it like
bingo hall.
He's like, So, yeah, for me, no better way to see out what has been my Dream Maiden set list than going home with Running Free.
Nice.
My final.
Really nice.
Yeah.
So for my final track, obviously we've just had Iron Maiden. So what would happen in like the stage setup is it would make it seem like the gig's over. Like Iron Maiden's been played, we're done so, everyone leave. Fake out, beginning of Fear of the Dark.
Oh,
End with Fear of the Dark. Confetti everywhere.
just a
pyro all the time.
Around. It's like da 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 da.
Yeah,
da, da,
exactly.
Oh, very nice. And you know what? I don't think Maiden have ever closed a gig with Fear of the Dark.
But how cool would it be?
It would be very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also just the,
But you really need the
end.
fake out first.
you're very adamant that there's going to be the fake out, like what house lights come up.
Maybe not that far, but it seems like the
PA
show
music
sort of.
starts playing, and half the audience have left. You're like, psych, we're going to play Fear of the Dark.
No, not that much of a fake out, but like just make it seem like the band walks off at the end of Iron Maiden, make it
Okay.
seem like the show might be ending, and then Fear of the Dark kicks in.
Very nice. That's a very strong ending.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. Wow.
I thought about the flow of my set list quite a lot.
That's
That's why lots of songs that I love are not in my set
Well,
list.
yeah, I mean, some of my favourite Maiden songs are not in the set list, right? So,
So what are your honourable mentions that didn't make the
the
cut?
fact I couldn't get Phantom of the Opera
Yeah.
in there somewhere was heartbreaking. But at the same time, again, it's purely that's purely my personal experience thing. I've been lucky enough to see that song being played a few
Yeah.
times live. So I was like, well, I've seen it. That's great. Just like Aces High, but again, I've been lucky enough to see him do that quite a lot. A lot of the 21st century stuff. So I might have had more from Dance of Death in there.
Yeah.
Might have had a bit more from. Well, I certainly would have had something from For the Greater Good of God, for example.
Yeah,
is
good
one of my
song.
favourite 21st century Iron Maiden songs, but I've just seen it a couple of times.
Yeah.
So yeah, those would be my honourable mentions that if I'd never seen Maiden before, would have almost certainly been in the set list, those songs.
That
But
makes sense.
yeah. What about yours?
Well, just before we go into mine, I think there's a couple of interesting things about both our set lists. Neither of us has a song from anything beyond the Final Frontier.
Yeah.
Neither of us have. But also, on the other side of that coin, neither of us have Run to the Hills.
No, but
And
again,
to be honest, Run to the Hills wasn't in any of my drafts, and I loved that song, but I don't need to hear it anymore.
yeah, that's it. It's a bit like if you could draft, if someone was, take for example Metallica. If you're a diehard Metallica fan and you could say you can draft your dream Metallica set list, I would be confused if you came back to me and were like, oh, well, I want to have Enter Sandman in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, how many times have you heard them do that song? And it's the same with Run to the Hills, isn't it? Although actually it's a bit different with Maiden because you're not actually even guaranteed to hear it.
No. And as I said earlier, I was a bit salty that they didn't play Run
Yeah.
to the Hills the first time I saw them.
But you've had your fill since then.
Yeah, but since then I've had my fill.
Yeah.
So there was a surprising amount of 21st century stuff that I found myself wanting to put on here.
I'm glad because I wasn't surprised, but I've always doubted your commitment to 21st century Iron Maiden.
So, for instance, from Brave New World, I had some drafts that had Wicker Man.
Yeah, nothing Brave New World in mind, which again is mad. But
then also,
that record.
I tried to make the thin line between love and hate work in my set because I think that's a really underrated song, but it didn't quite fit.
That is a
anywhere.
very underrated song. And you know what I wanted to put into mine off while we're talking Brave New World? Out of the Silent Planet, which was a bloody single off that album.
I actually don't know the whole album.
Oh,
I only know bits and pieces of it.
hold off it till we get to the...
I am holding off it.
It's bloody great.
Yeah.
But, like, honestly, front to back, it's brilliant. But I would have... Yeah, Out of the Silent Planet, I would have loved. Yeah.
Yeah. Then, again, looking at 21st century, I really wanted Rainmaker in there.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we've already spoken about that. But yeah, that would have
but
been-
I just couldn't get it in there. And then also, one draft had Passchendaele in it because Passchendaele's a great song. But I think you can't have Dance of Death and Passchendaele.
No.
I think it just doesn't quite work.
That's why I hacked the system.
Yeah, you did hack the system. You mentioned that like it's sort of criminal not to have Flight of Icarus on the set list,
Yeah.
and that was a hard one to remove.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like there were more songs of Peace of Mind that should have and could have been there, but I didn't have enough space.
Yeah,
I didn't have Wasted Years on there.
Yeah,
either.
that's mad for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I love that song, but I didn't put it on there. I also didn't put in 22 Acacia Avenue, which you did.
Yeah.
But that was in a lot of my drafts.
And that almost didn't get in until I remembered it the other day, and I was like, how could I miss that
Yeah.
opportunity to have 22 Acacia Avenue? Yeah.
I tried to find a way to put in Back in the Village, but that didn't work.
Now,
When I was
Yeah.
doing my original draft, which was a bit more like weird choices, Back in the Village was in it.
the one Maiden song, at any point, did you ever consider Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter?
Yes.
Yeah,
So I
likewise,
actually had
yeah,
it
likewise.
quite late up into the process because I just thought that's such a fun song.
Yeah.
Like I know
And they never play it
there's a
anymore.
bit of a checkered history to it,
Yeah.
but I just think it's a really fun song. But yeah, it got cold about halfway through.
And it's weird, isn't it? Because you look at those songs and you think, why do they never play that? But when you go through that process of putting together a set list, you
Yeah,
realise,
it just
Christ,
doesn't
yeah.
easily fit in.
It's hard, isn't it? But
I also
yeah.
considered Man on the Edge at one point.
Yeah, for me, I really wanted a Blaze song.
Yeah, I really wanted a Blaze song as well, but they just lost out in the end.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
That's why, as I said before, Blaze comes on stage for the Iron Maiden performance.
He's just there, having
He's just
fun,
there doing some backing vocals.
having a nice time.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, if I was being honest, I have a few long songs already. I would have gone, like, the best Blaze era song is The Klansman, right?
I don't know the Blaze era well enough to
Okay. Well,
say that with complete...
for me, I would say The Klansman is the standout Blaze era song, but it is a long song, had a lot of long songs.
Yeah.
And again, I have seen Maiden do The Klansman. I've not seen them do Future Real.
Yeah.
So hence, Future Real was my Blaze era song. But I don't to sort of come across as a tokenistic thing. Like
No.
That song belongs there in its own merit.
Yeah.
It's a great song. It wasn't like I was feeling sorry for Blaze and going, "Oh, Blaze, I better choose one of his songs." Like I would genuinely want that in my dream set. So there we are.
So two very different sets.
Very different, and it's going to be up to all 15 people on Twitter to decide which way is it going to go.
Is there some kind of prize? Does the winner get like...
Nope. No prize. Just
I mean, I
don't know what the prize be.
I guess whoever loses buys a round of drinks.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought it meant a prize for the person.
No, for us.
the people
I don't
who-
care about them.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough. Yeah.
The public, I want a prize.
I thought I'm not like sending my personal Maiden memorabilia.
No.
Some...
Okay. Can I win some of your Maiden memorabilia?
No, you can't. No, you cannot.
Oh.
No, I'll buy you a drink. That's fine.
Okay.
If I lose, and vice versa.
Yeah, fine.
There we
I
go.
accept those boring ass terms.
The stakes have just got even higher. One of us stands to lose as much as £5 in the current climate for buying alcohol in a night
It depends where we cash in this pint, right? Like if we're in London, it could be £7. If we're in Cardiff Central, it could be £5.50.
Let's be honest. It'll be
If it's at the Albany,
Albany.
the nearest pub to my house, it'll be £2.75 for a nice pint of Rev James.
Smashing. Brilliant stuff. So, hopefully by the time you hear this, the poll, or shortly after, the poll will be live.
Yeah.
So, at Maiden Pod, vote, like, subscribe,
And
tell
tell
your
us,
friends.
but also tell us what would be in your dream set list and what do you agree and disagree with of our choices.
Yeah, that would be interesting, actually, because it's... I mentioned this to you before we start recording, but it's interesting how, we can all share a love of the same band, and yet actually when you sort of zoom in on the detail, what we love about the band can be quite different,
Yeah.
which always surprises me, because being a massive fan of Iron Maiden, I always presume that everyone sees Iron Maiden through the lens I see them through.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, that's, people, yeah. It's like, you've got such a big discography and such a massive body of material.
And I think particularly when you're picking through 40 years worth of material, there's just so many different choices you can make and so many options for the direction you can go in. No one's set is going to be exactly the same.
Well, yeah, exactly. So share your set list with us, share your favourite Iron Maiden live experiences with us, and if you were hoping that this episode was going to be part one of our Seventh Son of a Seventh Son dissection,
in next time.
Unless, yes, you will be more than happy next time when we
do that. But until then,
Ta-ra.
bye.